Right, morning. Welcome everybody. So it's maths test day today, Lee, is it? So we can see if people can count to three. So one, two, three. Yeah. Color inside the boxes. You know, all the good things we tell people not to do in wisdom. So we're going to have to test and see whether that the challenge is actually that we're coloring inside the boxes, or we're actually really having to get outside the boxes to think how we actually do this in 1, 2, 3. So yeah, Lee, I think I'm going to hand it over to you on that note.
Thanks, Ivan. So we have been following this theme from the virtual trade fair of how to rebuild from a shattered economy. And we've kind of looked at it from a macro level, is, you know, what sort of principles would we put in place? What ideas do we have? And for today, the idea is that we hone it down to the micro level, and that micro being me, being us as individuals. And what are the 1, 2, 3 things that we are doing that is ensuring that we are economically viable? And so for my side, the 3 things that I've been doing and that were prompted for me coming through lockdown and building, realizing that things have changed overnight, and we have to think differently and do things differently, or at least adjust and adapt in new ways. So marketing has been a focus of mine, from redesigning our website to rebranding, talking about wisdom specifically, and then also being front of mind, but in a way that is giving value before expecting value back. So Wisdom's Chats is an example of that, is how can we bring a group of people together to demonstrate what Wisdom's is about by doing it rather than simply promoting it. And so that has been something. The interviews that I've been doing with various business owners and South African authors is another example of that, is how can I give a platform to other people, highlighting what they're good at, and at the same time getting some exposure for myself and for Wisdoms. So that's been a focus. Then the second thing has been, I didn't expect, again, just my own thing, I didn't expect that I would get too many new clients in this time. People that didn't know me from a bar of soap, or, you know, had no idea what I was going to do. So what I did is I went through my old client base. So people that I've done business with, and it might have been 10 years ago or 5 years ago or 3 years ago in different fields. So I might have done sales and negotiation, but now I would send them a mail or contact them and say, I'm also now doing stress management, or I'm now doing personal and leadership development. And so just being in touch with clients that I already had a relationship with, their trust was already there, credibility was already there, and repositioning myself in that way. And then the last thing is rethinking the product set that I was offering. Obviously, much of what I was doing prior to lockdown was face-to-face interactions via, whether that was workshops, boot camps, or consultations. And then bringing those into the digital arena. So first of all, whether that was meetings or virtual workshops, but actually creating products themselves that are digital. And so those are the things that I've been working on. And I think as much as I'm saying that digital has been an important add-on for me, I do think there's going to be a swing. I think people are going to rely on digital more than they used to because they're realizing its convenience. And I'm definitely, from a learning perspective, I think the online learning platforms are going to be something that we will use in an ongoing way. But I think the swing is going to be for people to start wanting face-to-face. I had 2 face-to-face meetings on Monday, one with a supplier and one with a client. And I can honestly say there is nothing to replace that face-to-face. And even the client said to me, I'd only met, so I was introduced to the CEO who I hadn't met before. And as we were leaving, he said, this face-to-face, it beats everything because you build a rapport, you have conversations you would never have had. And when you've got your Zoom cut off, cut on, you're expanding the conversation. So that's my input from today. And so I'd love to hear from you. What are the 3 things you're doing to keep yourself either afloat or thriving economically at this time?
Great, thanks, Lee. Right, Ed, let's start with you.
Yeah, I think as Lee was talking, I was thinking she was talking economically. And I think for me, economically is about the bottom line. So I'm going to think, as you'd expect, about the triple bottom line: people, planet, and profit. And for the people, my first key thing is looking after myself, because we've got lots of changes. You know, I haven't been going out as much. I haven't been doing the traveling. So I'm feeling as though my mental health might suffer over the winter. So my first thing is look after myself. So I've kind of got a program of what I'm going to do differently because of the pandemic, you know, communicating differently, going different places, accepting I can't travel, enjoying maybe some virtual traveling. And then I'm thinking, well, that's going to apply to other people as well. So I'll be helping other people out, being more caring about what's happening in their world. And then trying to engage differently, because normally I engage with my customers face-to-face at events. I've now got to engage with them differently, remotely. So that's that. On the planet side of things, well, I can't really do what I normally do. I used to volunteer a lot in various environmental sort of projects and beach cleans and all that sort of stuff. So I'm really going to examine my personal impact on the environment, try and shop more local, try and shop more sustainably, and then have that conversation by my new communication means with my friends to try and influence my friends, and then have those conversations and try and influence companies. So for example, I mentioned Brewdog before, who are carbon neutral. I'll really big them up when I'm talking about alcohol, which means Castle Lager might take a back seat. But yeah, just try and emphasize the positives that companies are doing, so they see that the impact on the environment is important to people. And I don't know if you saw, but David Attenborough just went on Instagram and he broke the record for the fastest 1 million followers, which just goes to show the power of the environment. And if we can turn that into companies thinking our profits might get affected. So that's on the planet side. And on the profit side, well, I've realized I'm not going to get commission from events because events aren't happening. So I'm going to have to find a different revenue stream, and that's going to be my writing. So more money from writing, and really looking at how I can replace all the stuff I used to get for free, because most of my business model was around getting experiences for free. You know, a free trip to Scotland in May because I promote the event, a free trip to Romania in August because they wanted me to check the event out and give feedback. That's not happening. I'm not getting those experiences for nothing. So I'm probably going to have to pay for experiences in the future. So, and different experiences maybe as I'm getting older. So I'm looking at replacing my income by, rather than sort of getting stuff for free, perhaps earning more money by doing the writing. So yeah, that's really my thoughts about it, is adapting to that thing on a sort of a fleet of foot level, I hope, and just taking care of myself. That's me finished.
Great, thanks, Ed. Yeah, I think a lot of things that most of us should be considering in that. So thank you for that. Right, Donovan, let's get across to you next. Donovan, you with us?
Thanks, Trevor. Yeah, I was just thinking also about improving my presence on social media. So a while back, I attended an online course. Yeah, let's move. Let me just move around, Trevor. I mean, Ivan. Yeah, I was looking at my online presence in terms of social media. So I attended a course whereby they explained to us how to improve your profile on LinkedIn, all the features that are available that you can use to expand and improve your network. So I'm looking to do the same on Facebook, Twitter, etc. And also wherever I can to communicate with the client online instead of traveling unnecessarily, exposing myself to the environment, minimizing cost and time, etc. So yeah, that's what I've been doing for now. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Donovan. Yeah, and you may or may not know that one of our corporate sponsors at the Chamber is Scott Kundle, who's a LinkedIn specialist, and he's got a little app that you can connect in to help you prospect and connect. And he's also now produced that for phones as well, so you can actually do it on your phone now as well, which is quite exciting, I think. So yeah, I think it's definitely the way to go in terms of getting the message out there, is using these tools a lot better. So Trevor Cardi, let's get across to you next.
1, 2, 3. So there you are. I can still just pass it. I'm with Ed. I went one personal. So I used the time to reshape. Good morning. I used the time to reshape my program for the day. So physical, emotional, intellectual, and spiritual. And that clocks me in till about 10 in the morning. So it's quite nice not to start rush. Although then again, getting up to run might be called rush. Then 2, I re-looked at my career goals and my professional success. What does that mean to me from here on out in my second life? And the upside was I could revisit 30 years of the way I've been doing things and change what really wasn't there, and revisit what was there that I wasn't really using properly. So I did a who, what, how, and succession planning exercise for myself, for my career. And then just in my professional services, which is the 3, it was all about how do we embrace this environment that we're now in. And I got very lucky. I've got a couple of people that I know. They've got a couple of things going on. One's a virtual trade fair. One's a daily wisdoms chat. The other is some personal interviews. And so that was it. So from a professional success, it was the number 3. So there's my 1, 2, 3.
Right, thanks, Trevor. Right, Jasper, let's get across to you next.
Hi there. Yeah, I think the lockdown has probably clarified some things, but at the same time showed that we were on the right track, and that the focus must be, and I think it hasn't necessarily anything to do with COVID. I think it's something that probably happened as you get older, is that you get a sense of time is running out. So whatever I have to do now, I need to find tools and ways to do it faster and more efficiently. So I just wrote stuff down that basically, well, first of all, it referred to what I'm thinking we need to do in the chamber. But when I say the chamber, it also holds true for me with GIG and also for the GIG Wealth, the insurance company, because I'm very much busy on the regulatory environment. And my thinking is there are so much, or such a lot of people are being made aware of how short life is and how quickly it can be taken away from you. And now all of a sudden their comfort zone has been disrupted, and they now need to find clever ways of doing things to get back to a new comfort zone. So how do we unleash all this creativity that will now be in the market purely out of those people's necessity? So those people don't have a time to go and reinvent the infrastructure. So if we can give people the tools to come and plug in, so that all they have to do is bring their creativity and quickly move to whatever it is that they want to do. So that's where I'm focusing on. And I've just wrote down a few words there of which more or less describe the process I see myself being busy with. And let me just quickly get there. It says, I see through the combination of the groupings that I'm part of, that we will become thought leaders and change agents for selected industries where we use the virtual trade fair platform. And when I say thought leaders and change agents, I think what came out for me out of the last virtual trade fair is that we need to start to control the narrative, or at least offer an alternative narrative. Because right now, the only narrative out there is that which is part of the public media, including the social media, because they just regurgitate on a massive scale what the local media does, and the politicians. So that is not the truth. That is just what's happening out there. So what is the alternative narrative? And I think we had a taste of it from the virtual trade fair. And I think we now have a formula, and technology has made it possible for us that if we can use the virtual trade fair as a platform, to give people a voice, but an alternative voice for positive input, then this formula, once established in South Africa, can also now be upscaled and duplicated in world markets. So I see us continuously question the status quo and identify what works and what doesn't, and then get rid of what doesn't work and implement what works. So it's nothing new. I mean, this is what we've been saying to each other for the last couple of years. But then take the best from the old and experiment with the new. So it's not scratching everything, but not everything from the old is still relevant. But we also don't know everything that will be relevant. So I see a lot of experimentation. And that will become the new best positioning, the best price, and the best presentation. And then someone said, but what about yourself and Eagle's Nest? Well, where I see Eagle's Nest going, what I really have going for me is my positioning. The feedback at one stage, I thought of a filling station and a hotel. I think this whole lockdown has showed us the vulnerability of the hotel positioning, and the filling station is a good option, except that we're going to have a lot of resistance from other filling stations very close to us. So the latest emerging positioning for me is then high density units, because we've got a large tract of land here, and people want to be close to all the amenities that's in and around here. And with hopefully the next 7 years, the station coming close to us, I think it will be a good vision to have. And now it's a matter of finding an able equity partner who can come to the party and help realize this vision. So that's where we focus on as Eagle's Nest.
Great, thanks, thanks, Jasper. Right, Chibanel, let's get across to you next.
Good morning, good morning. Lee, can you repeat what was the topic? No, don't worry about it. Couple of things, and I put them there that I thought about yesterday. was the world goes on with or without you. And we need to, from my perspective, is we need now to simplify, simplify, simplify even more than I ever simplified before. So I've got very fortunate because over this time period, I've realized that I've lost a couple of 100,000 brain neurons over the last, you see, I can't even count how many months we've been locked down. So I'm actually loving that. And I'm going more and more backwards to my first ever concepts of 1, 2, 3, what's in it for me? How do we simplify, simplify, simplify? And if the world couldn't give us stuff about who you are, what you are, the ego and all that sort of thing, well, you may as well go out and do the things that are important to you. So I'm looking to switch that 1, 2, 3, what's in it for me to 1, 2, 3, what is important for me. So that also gives a little switch on the what's in it for me. Now, there are going to be individuals who turn around and say, but hang on a moment, and I take note of this humanness and thinking of others. Well, maybe what's in it for me, if someone else wants to write that down, is other people are more important than me. That's my number one, not for me. What's more important for me, number one, is how I feel, how good I am, how my family is, the people close to me, and then I'll start concerning myself about the other people around. That doesn't mean I disrespect the individuals who put others in front of them. I will just ask, in analyzing what's important for you, is there dissonance? So if you complain about things, if you complain, and this has come clearly to me about where I was going down, as much as I'm a glass half full kind of guy, and put all this positive input in, I recognize that the negative input over the last 6 to 7 months was affecting me big time. And so I am switching myself. I'm looking for, in fact, I'm trying to pull more and more away from communicating with people verbally, because I recognize there are better people that can actually do it, and that where my strength lies, I think, is in extracting sound bites into text of information. And there's just an example of how my neurons are not connecting. So I'm trying to find out what is the short little text version that people are sending out, a 144 character text message, because people actually can't see and discuss much further than 144 characters. They make their minds up instantly on the first 3 or 4 words that come out of your mouth, and it's because they've got another focus to you. That's their perception and their reality. Oh, let me shut up.
Thanks, Trevor. Yeah, I always wondered if you were neuronally challenged, but yeah, now you've told us you are. So
Yep.
we know where it's all coming from. So yeah, it's been an interesting period for me, I think, because much of what I've done was not necessarily choices that I made. I think they were choices that were pretty much made for me in many respects. So, you know, becoming a host on these wisdoms chat sessions, becoming a host on the virtual trade fair, developing websites for all of these things, doing the tech behind the whole thing. None of that was even remotely in my thought realm prior to the start of lockdown. So yeah, it's been a very interesting period for me, and yeah, in some ways challenging, I suppose. In some ways quite frustrating, but I think, you know, I've learned a massive amount without a shadow of doubt, and that's always good, you know. And you know, I'm actually looking back on the last 6 months now. I'm just you know, really appreciative of the process that I've gone through. I think it's given me a completely different focus. And it's given me, you know, perhaps the ability to develop skills and avenues that I hadn't actually thought of before. So, you know, dovetailing into what Lee has said in terms of the wisdoms process, and others have said about the virtual trade fair, I think, you know, there's lots of ideas coming together now, which hopefully are going to kick into high gear in the next 6 months. So, you know, I really think that platform has been laid, you know, the work has been done, and now it's time to convert. So that's, you know, that's really what I'm looking at right now is thanks, Trevor. Yeah, is how do we kick this thing into the stratosphere? Because, you know, we've got a little platform here, which can be massive, given the right, you know, the right partnerships, the right inputs, the right actions, and we just got to find out what those are. Yeah, so exciting times, I think, really exciting times. And as I say, it's yeah, it's been a period of development for me, I think, in many respects. So I've really enjoyed that. So yeah, I think that's my little bit. So Lee, over to you to wrap up and tell us what's on the cards for tomorrow.
I was thinking so much about what everybody was saying that I forgot that I have to think about what we're going to talk about tomorrow.
That's where we've stretched you in the last 6 months. You probably on the spot every day trying to think about a new
too many things to think about. Yeah, and I think it's, you know, when you were talking, Ivan, and you said, you know, this exciting plans ahead.
Sorry, Lee, I think we've just got Tweedledee and Tweedledum that have crashed the party here. And,
it seems like it. It seems like it. I don't know if we should go down that route, though. Yeah. So Ivan, you were talking about this has very much been laying the platform, and when I think about what Jasper was saying, Trevor, everybody actually, you know, there's been a lot of opportunity to plan, to put things in place. So we've spoken about what are the 1, 2, 3 things you're doing currently, but what are you seeing ahead? What is exciting for you? What is the carrot that is ahead of you that says, this is what is drawing me forward, that's going to keep this journey exciting? So what are we looking forward to? I think that's maybe the simplest way to put it. What are we looking forward to?
Great, thanks. Talk
about that tomorrow.
Yeah. So Ed, I think this one's specifically for you because we're going to be talking about carrots. So all the good vegans are going to be on board, and we'll have to see where that, how that meal plan lays out. But other than that, go, folks, have a fantastic day further, and look forward to seeing you in the morning. Go well. Cheers.